So the most important concept, arguably at this time, I believe, is that of the circle of competence. So the circle of competence, as defined for an individual, is that circle that encompasses all those areas that that individual has sufficient knowledge on, so that that individual can comment with authority. So, for example, the rocket scientist, the circle of competence would definitely contain rockets, and a structural engineer, the circle of competence would definitely contain structures, buildings. Now, an important aspect of the circle of competence that resonates fairly well with the way I think is that is something that I learned from this book, The Art of Thinking Clearly, is that it's not terribly important to have a big circle of competence, but it is terribly important to know what's inside of your circle of competence and what's outside of your circle of competence. So, and this uh, this is where this area called the gray area would come into play. So here, if you can see over here, this is the smaller circle that you see. That is that circle of competence, and anything inside of this circle, that individual would have sufficient knowledge to speak about that topic. And anything outside of this circle of competence, including the gray area, is something that the individual would not have sufficient knowledge. Now, this gray area is the area that the individual thinks that they have sufficient knowledge to talk about the topic, but actually they don't. So they are essentially living in a state of delusion. And so basically, this is an overestimation of the size of the circle of competence. And sadly, a good number of people tend to overestimate the size of the circle. Now, an important another important thing here is that whenever we are listening to someone's opinion or making our own opinions based on what someone else is talking about, it's it's very important to know that the thing that that individual is talking about is to know whether that thing is inside of their circle of competence, or is it outside of the circle of competence.